Dwight Chambers,
And your date of birth?
March 22nd, 1945.
Do you know that you're being videotaped?
Yes.
Okay. You want to start with where you grew up?
Okay, grew up on a farm between Glendale and Peoria, Arizona. And while I was growing up, my granddad and my dad owned or managed or owned farm, ranch, several ranches around the state. I graduated from Glendale Union High School, the same as my older brother and younger sister. My mother was a school teacher for the Peoria School District. My dad was manager of the farms and the ranches, and was also a mechanic and a welder. In fact, during the war, he worked for Goodyear Aircraft Company as a machinist. And I was the middle kid. My brother was 5 years older than I was, and my sister was 5 years younger. What all do you want to know?
Well, then, so you went, what part of Arizona are those two towns in?
Kind of slightly north central Arizona. They're right on the suburbs of Phoenix. Right now, Phoenix and Glendale, Peoria and whatnot, they're all in the Valley of the Sun, and they've all kind of grown out to where they've kind of bordering up to each other.
Okay, then, so did you have a favorable experience being in the outdoors?
Yes. Enjoyed being in the outdoors. I enjoyed managing the land and whatnot. When I was in high school, I was in FFA, and I struck a deal with the mayor of Glendale and the city council, and they were in the business of buying some farmland, and then kind of for future park needs, and generally their budget didn't allow them to immediately convert them to parks, and so they would let me manage it so as to keep the weeds and everything down. And so I probably farmed about 100 acres of ground there in Glendale, free of charge, just for keeping it cleaned up and whatnot for my 4 years when I was in high school. So that helped get a little bit ahead as far as money-wise for college.
Now, where did you go to college?
I went to Northern Arizona University in Flagstaff, Arizona.
And then what was your major?
My major was a forestry major with a range option, is what they had at that time. And played 1 year of football at NAU. When we were in high school, the high school team I played on, we won state, and so we had several of us got college scholarships and whatnot for football. I had several academic scholarships, so I didn't take a football scholarship. And then about this, and I also ran track at Northern Arizona University in the 440, and I also threw discus and the javelin. which is kind of a strange combination, but that's what it was. And then junior year and senior year, the forestry curriculum had afternoon labs from 1 to 4:30 almost every afternoon. And so it was a little bit impossible to do sports after that. You had to decide whether you wanted to be a football player or do track and be a student for the rest of your life, basically, or decide to be a student and get through in 4 or 5 years. And I decided it was time to decide to be a student.
So when did you start smoke jumping? What years?
I started smoke jumping in the summer of '66.
Okay, now, do you remember when you first had the idea that you might be interested in being a smoke jumper?
Well, when I started forestry school, and after my freshman year, of course, like most kids at that time, you needed some money to go through college, and so I was in the forestry curriculum, so I decided that the Forest Service was a good place to look for a job in the summertime for a forester, and I managed to get a job with the hot shots off the Umatilla Forest, and we had a base there at Heppner, Oregon. And so I did that during the summertime, and I got to where I kind of really liked fire and fighting fire and whatnot. And my older brother was also in the Forest Service and was on the Region 1 overhead team, and he'd talked about fire quite a bit, so it was another one of those things where if you're going to do something, you might as well try to be with the best. And basically felt the smoke jumpers were kind of the elite firefighters in the nation, and so I started applying for those positions. And so my sophomore year in '66, I got an invitation to go to Missoula and try out for the smoke jumpers.
So was that a bad fire? What kind of fire year was that?
It was a fairly decent fire year as far as getting a fair number of jumps and making a fairly good income out of it. So it depends on which side of the fence you're looking at it from, so whether it was a good summer or a bad summer. But
how many fire jumps did you get that year? Do you remember roughly?
It was probably something in the area of 10 jumps, and I can't remember if it was '66. Well, '66 we did get pulled up to Fairbanks as a booster crew, and so I got some jumps in Alaska that year, and I can't remember if it was '66 or '67 that we were also pulled down to California as a booster crew. And so I got to see quite a bit of country that the years I jumped from California to Alaska, and really enjoyed it.
Do you remember your training?
I don't remember a lot of the specifics of the training. I remember doing those, I can't remember, knee bends where you lock your knees and you bend over backwards. till you almost touch the ground, then come back up again. It just about killed me in my knees. And I remember the long runs, and Cable would try to kill us on those things.
Now, who's Cable? And then,
He was one of the jumper instructors at Missoula, and Fred Cable, and in tremendous shape, could just run you into the ground.
and you were in pretty good shape coming there out of being in athletics down in Arizona.
Oh yes, yes, but they'd still try to best you, and they could if they really wanted to.
Yeah. Well, you had 7 practice jumps?
Yes.
Okay, and then